What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3. This is going to be Game 2 of the best of 3 to determine who is going to be moving on to Division 1 for Season 4 and who is going to be staying in Division 2. Currently, the score sits Pain Gaming up 1 game over Argentinian Rejects. Here on HeflaTV 2, we're going to be bringing you the rest of the game. This might be the last one. Who knows? I'm Mike Loris, and I'm joined by Grandis. And, man, what do you think about the last game?
It was so glacially slow coming up from Pain Gaming. They had a lot of openings where they could have gotten something done, but they just decided to, for whatever reason, I have no idea, to delay things and wait until their PA was 6-started, which I felt was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Phantom Assassin, when she's stronger than everyone else, she's going to be stronger than everyone else. You don't need her to be at her literal peak in order to be an effective hero. So that was excruciatingly slow, but I guess it turns out that slow and steady does in fact win the race. Who knew?
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the biggest problems for Argentinian Rejects last game was that their Slark had nothing, and continued to have nothing throughout the game. He ended the game with like a Shadow Blade and BKB, and that just doesn't cut the cake.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot more on your Slark. He's one of the heroes that in this game that is supposed to set the pace of the game. He's supposed to roam around with his Shadow Blade and get kills. That never happened. Like, I don't know if he used his Shadow Blade to get anyone down. Like, he surprised a couple people with it, but he didn't actually get kills. I think he actually got killed when he initiated with that, and just not good times for the Slark. So hopefully for Argentinian Rejects, they don't get any real core important heroes off to that same crappy start. With a Skywrath Mage Centaur Warrunner opening, they're going to have an extremely strong opening for their heroes, especially when they're going up against Brewmaster. But Pain, once again, going to pick the Dazzle a lot earlier than last time, but I think this is not a good pick.
Yeah, neither do I. The Dazzle last game felt pretty lackluster anyway, and Dazzle, I just don't really feel it. I like the hero. He offers a lot of good utility for the team, but then again, you're missing out on supports that could actually change things in the early game and do stuff. The Dazzle, his impact is fairly limited. It's also fairly hard to see. The extra armor is nice against certain lineups, but right now, Argentinian Rejects don't care about that. And the Shallow Grave might delay a kill, but with Arcane Bolts, it's just going to be so hard for them to maintain that. Skywrath Mage as well as Centaur just feels like a much stronger opening than what Pain Gaming have. The Brewmaster is nice. They are going to be going up against the Skywrath Mage, but I still think it can work out for them. The Dazzle just feels completely out of place.
Yeah, I mean, being defensive against lots of burst damage is certainly very nice if you can get your Shallow Grave off in time. It is a hero that potentially is going to set Pain Gaming up for a very slow, dirtily game where they get a really heavy hyper carry and then try to take it late, a lot like last game. And that might be something that they get away with, but I think if you're going to be doing that, you pick up heroes that are a little bit more important to that strategy. You need to hold down your other lanes if you're going to be going for that sort of strategy, and you want to be picking up those powerful laners earlier rather than later. Otherwise, they're just going to get banned out, i.e. Razor banned out, which I think actually would have been really useful for Pain with just a Brewmaster Razor opening. Like, that is pretty strong, but who are we to judge? Dazzle is going to be making it in this game, and of course that's going to be limiting Pain's early game rotation potential, and up against what Argentinian Rejects have, they have a lot of aggression. This is kind of what we saw last game, though, where Argentinian Rejects pick up a very aggressive lineup, but they don't actually get that much done with it.
Yeah, I mean, last game, it made a little bit more sense that they didn't go super aggressive, as they had a Morphling to fall back on in the late game, but still, they weren't able to do anything with their Ogre as well as with their Slark. Right now, the next couple bans are going to come out. Leeching Commander is also being taken out by Pain Gaming. I'm not really understanding this ban all that much. Of course, the Leeching Commander can be very scary and combos well with the Skywrath Mage, and decently well with the Centaur as well, but I'm not sure if it would be exactly what Argentinian Rejects have in mind. We'll just have to see. Next ban coming up for Argentinian Rejects is taking quite a large amount of time for them to consider. If they're going to ban out a support, I think Earthshaker is probably one of the better ones left in, offers a decent amount defensively, and can make things happen by himself, but it's going to be a Tidehunter ban instead, as they're going to focus in the offlane, and maybe they pick up the Earthshaker for themselves. Would synergize decent with the Scarth Mage, or maybe we'll even see an Ogre again.
I mean, they first picked an Ogre last time, so why wouldn't you pick an Ogre this time? Argentine Rejects, if you look at their bans, this is like most of what Pain Gaming had last game with the Sand King PA and a Tidehunter, which I think is just hilarious. Like, Argentine Rejects do not want to repeat the last game. They want to get as far away from that as possible, and I think Pain Gaming are going to be more than happy to oblige them. I think with Scarth Mage, you can't really go wrong with any support. Like, literally any support goes well with Scarth Mage. Maybe Shadow Demon is like one of the weaker ones, but the hell, that could even work with Centaur Warrunner. So they have a nice little support already to partner up with, and hey, it's going to be Vengeful Spirit. Was ignored last game against a Bat Rider, but who knows, maybe Stun is always going to be useful, so can't really say no to that hero. For Pain, their support choices are going to be a little bit more limiting. They can't play the super passive support game with the Sand King, as it is first banned out from Argentine VGX. I think the Shaker is just the best way to go for them.
Fair enough. The Vengeful Spirit, I would have liked to see the Ogre a little bit more, as the defensive swaps right now aren't that great. And usually I think that's what would tip the scales in favor of Vengeful Spirit, at least for me, is the burst damage, at least potential burst damage coming up from the Ogre, is just a whole lot higher. And in the early game, offer is about the same as the Vengeful Spirit. A nice place stun, although the base hero for Ogre is a whole lot better than Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, and you could get a lot more tankiness done, so if you're going to be playing aggressively, then even though Vengeful Spirit and Ogre both have stuns and very similar stuns, I mean, you could just be a lot more aggressive with Ogre. It's going to be such an early Drow Ranger from Pain.
You.
This is unprompted, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's so ballsy. Like, it's into a Centaur Warner, which in and of itself is already a pain for Drow Ranger to deal with. Scarth Mage and Vengeful Spirit are going to make this Drow Ranger's life very difficult. It's probably going to mean that our secondary support's going to be the Visage, excuse me. But still, like, Drow Ranger, I have no idea where this is coming out from Pain Gaming. It's going to be nice if they get it online, if the Drow Ranger is going to be able to avoid fighting at all costs, but up against Argentinian Rejects lineup, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Yeah, I think for Drow Ranger lineups in general, if you're picking up Drow Ranger anywhere but the 5th slot, then you're probably doing it wrong. Like, that's just my opinion, but like, once you see 4 range heroes or like 3 heroes and then Drow Ranger, as soon as you see that Drow, you're like, okay, we know what we're up against. We know that we want to be playing like what Argentine Rejects are doing right now. Pick up a Visage, deny them that combo, and then pick up more aggressive heroes that are melee, heroes that get in the face of Drow Ranger and really punish her. If you're picking her up this early, you're giving them so much time to get more and more counters. Whereas if they had 4 heroes and then they were thinking about Drow Ranger as their last, then maybe it gets banned out by Argentine VGX. That's fine. You still have 4 heroes that are perfectly serviceable with any other carry, but this is just like, I think, the worst way to go about picking up a Drow Ranger lineup.
And I love how Argentinian Rejects respond. By picking up the Visage, you pretty much take away what makes Drow Ranger so scary, and it also synergizes really well with what they have. That aggressive trialing coming out from the Venge, Visage, and Scarth Mage is incredibly potent, just so much damage. Although the lockdown is lacking, they only have 1 true stun. They're going to be able to burst down targets, especially like the Drow Ranger and Dazzle, so quickly. An Ancient Seal, and then follow up with the Soul Assumption, is, if it's fully charged, the Soul Assumption, almost going to 100 to 0 the likes of a Drow.
Yeah, and there's a possibility that Dazzle occasionally saves the Drow Ranger from that sort of fate. There's also a possibility that Argentine VGX decide to lane the Scarth Mage mid, and that the huge pure burst combo isn't really going to be happening from those 3 heroes, but hell, Visage Vengeful, you're going to get a lot of bursts no matter what the 3rd hero is. And I think off of this, Argentine VGX should be looking to go for someone along the lines of a Luna. It's not the most punishing hero for Drow Ranger. Really, the best heroes for punishing that are the likes of Phantom Assassin, currently banned, and a Slark. Currently, they already failed with it, so don't go for that pick again. Those types of heroes are great, but you don't have to fully get into her face. You can just rely on your sheer burst. And if you look at Argentine VGX side, they have so much burst.
Yeah. If the Earthshaker wasn't picked, I would have loved to see a Meepo coming out from Argentinian Rejects. Another carry that can get up in the face of the Drow Ranger and doesn't really care that much about the Brewmaster. The Boulder Toss is nice and the Cyclones are annoying to the Meepo, but I think it could have worked out. With the Earthshaker, it's a little bit more questionable, but I'd still love to see it. I'm not sure if they have a Meepo player though.
I think Algodonchin was, or Awareness was joking about Algodonchin's Meepo. I have no idea if he was being serious, like if Algodonchin could actually play the Meepo, or if he was just bullshitting because he has a terrible Meepo. But either way, it would have been a nice enough hero. But Pain, they pick up an Earthshaker, which is a possibility that we were discussing before the Drow Ranger was picked up. Once you pick up a Drow Ranger, you have to place a premium on ranged heroes, and clearly Earthshaker, Brewmaster, they are not ranged heroes, and Dazzle, he's not going to be doing that much range damage. So this Drow Ranger is just so out of place here for Pain. Like, if this Drow
It
Ranger
is.
was, I don't know, an Ember Spirit, I'm just like throwing out random heroes. Literally any other hero would be so much better for Pain. But this Drow Ranger is going to get crushed, I predict.
Yeah, and even Ember Spirit wouldn't be that great, but it's still like on a completely different tier than the Drow Ranger. Drow Ranger is like in this situation just such an awful pick. You can make Drow Ranger work, but you have to have the right team for it. Like when you pick Drow Ranger, you can't just like out of the blue say, "Hey, I want to play Drow today. Let's just pick Drow and pick our four other heroes like normal." You have to build your lineup around it to actually be able to abuse the power of the Drow. Last pick for Argentinian Rejects. Not a huge fan of it. It's going to be a Shadow Fiend, although it's still going to be a lot of physical damage for them, and I think that they'll be able to get away with it, to be honest. It's probably going to build a very early BKB, and once it has that BKB, the Brewmaster is not going to be able to do very much at all about it, and maybe we even see a blink on the Shadow Fiend. If the Shadow Fiend has a blink and Drow Ranger doesn't, blink into the Requiem is going to pretty much spell the end of Drow Ranger's life.
Yeah, I think the Shadow Fiend pick could be a little bit better. I think actually Ember Spirit would have been decent for Argentinian Rejects while we're on the topic of Ember, but Shadow Fiend is going to provide them a lot of damage. It's going to very quickly fill up the Visage bar for his Soul Assumption. He does provide a good amount of magic damage as well, so there's synergy there with the Skarath Mage Seal, who I predict is going to be played as core, although VS core is always a possibility. Argentine Rejects, they have just so much damage. They have a good amount of lockdown. They're very well rounded. Pain, their last pick, is going to be a Puck, a hero that, as far as ranged heroes go, is decent with the Drow Ranger on his team. Like, a Puck doing a little bit more damage is certainly going to be very useful. Although I think Viper was still in the pool, and I think that probably would have been a little bit better for them. Pain, they just have such an awkward lineup right now, and it'll be really hard, I think, for Argentine Rejects to mess this up.
Yeah, they still can mess it up, like, don't put it past them, but as far as just looking at the raw draft, after playing on the same level, I'd say that Pain win, or Pain lose 9 times out of 10. We're going to see on the Pain side, Billy handling the Brewmasters. About right, our last game was, okay, Bog is going to be playing on the Earthshaker. Currently heading up towards top with the Brewmaster. I'm not sure about these lanes coming up from Pain. In mid, we're going to have the Puck played by QQQ, and the bottom lane is going to be Dazzled by Ned, and 4DR playing on the Drow Ranger.
And Argentinian Rejects, are they really going for a level 1 Roshan?
This might be a way to mess up this.
Yeah, this is... if you're talking about a way, the 1 out of 10 chance to lose the game after having such a great draft, it's going to be this. Presence of the Dark Lord being picked up by Chorizo. They took the Wave of Terror. They have no other great skills at dealing with Roshan. Fortunately for them, Pain have no idea what's going on, so they probably will get away from this, get away with this, and this is just going to be one of the nails in Pain's coffin. This is like one of the most awful Roshan lineups I've ever seen, which is I guess a good thing since you don't expect it.
Exactly. And they're doing a decent job at toggling the aggro and making sure he doesn't clap, but no, they messed it up. Olivia is dropping fairly low. They'll be able to take it. This is so abysmally low, and the bash on Chorizo almost secures his demise. If he gets bashed again, that would have been his death. This is terribly slow and very difficult to watch. Another clap comes out from Roshan, but they're going to be able to get it, and Pain were none the wiser. Everybody's going to be starting out with level 2, and in that sense, it's going to work out for them. They'll miss the block completely on the Shadow Fiend, and everybody's pretty darn low. Both the Tango and the SF, as well as an Aegis to burn, they don't actually care that much. And Argentinian Rejects, they get away with a very, very weird level 1 Roche.
And we do see Billy with the Haster Brewmaster going to wrap around and try to punish this. This Aegis is not going to last very long at all for Chorizo, as there
That's okay, though.
That was the earliest Aegis I've ever seen popped, I'm pretty sure, in my entire career of Dota.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you going to use it, though, for a Shadow Fiend, to be fair? Like, you can't play aggressively with it. It's just going to secure you in early laning phase. And I think Shadow Fiend's going to be fine with the full reheal.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice to have that, but it's also nice to have it when you are going to be ganked later on or get put into a little bit more danger later on. Regardless, they still have a huge lead off of that Roshan. Like, if you do secure a level 1 Roshan like that, you're going to be ahead 9 times out of 10, and it should be pretty good for them. But Luby up on top lane, he has a level advantage. He's going to push it a little bit too far. He has a level 2 double edge, which is going to be huge. He's trading hits with Billy, however. The double edge won't kill him off just yet as Baga punching away at that Centaur. Now the regeneration from Lubia trying to get in the way is Baga. They need another skill. They don't have any more mana, though. And Lubia is barely going to look away. No! It's a fissure, and first blood is going to be drawn by Baga. That is not supposed to happen when you have it early Roshan. Bottom lane, ADR. I mean, this is what the Drow Rangers should be in store for. Just that. All the time that.
Yeah, pretty much. If you look at the gold swing after that kill, it's actually very interesting to see. Earthshaker gets like a huge amount of gold on top of the bonus from First Blood. A lot of it is due to the advantage that they get from the Roshan. Just a very early lead for them. And suddenly it's going to be completely pared down. If you look at the gold graph, I usually don't do this early on, but it's almost completely at 0. And after a level 1 Roche, that's ridiculous. Still an experience advantage going the way of Argentinian rejects, but that's actually insane that one kill can completely swing that.
Oh, mid lane, they almost got a courier snipe. Baga invisible. He's looking for a kill onto Chorizo. He needs a perfect fissure block if this is going to happen, and that's pretty difficult. But if it does happen, then I think the Shadow Fiend might be going down. And Baga, he has an opportunity to do it right now, but he's not going to pull the trigger. I mean, if you're going to rotate in and chill there, then you might as well throw the Fissure and see what happens. But instead, he's going to do nothing.
Yeah, I think that's just a completely missed opportunity on Chorizo. It's already pretty darn low to an Illusory Orb from the Puck. 360 HP on the Shadow Fiend is fairly easy for a Puck and Earthshaker to get through. Puck didn't have a lot of mana, but I think you should at least try for it. At the very least, force Shadow Fiend all the way back to base.
They're going to go for top instead. Brewmaster is 3 mana away from a clap, and Lubia is pretty surrounded right now. Like, he might get away to go out, but he's going to put himself in a corner, and that clap is going to do him in. The creeps are going to make this a little bit annoying for Billy and Baga, but they're going to dig through eventually. Here comes Algodonchin for a magic missile onto Baga, but I don't think the Vengeful Spirit has enough alone to do this, especially with Billy body blocking that up. Awareness is going to teleport in. Scarith Mage can't really do much in this scenario, though. Concussive Shot is going to be certainly very nice, but these two supports are completely out of mana, and Centaur is way too far away, so Billy's very slowly but surely going to walk away from this one in pain. Even facing down a level 1 Roshan, they're now ahead in the kill score, which is so freaking weird to see.
And also ahead in the net worth department. Still experience lead towards Argentinian rejects. Argentinian rejects are going to be okay with this because their Shadow Fiend's having a good time and the Drow Ranger is not, kind of as to be expected, and ADR is not going to get a better time in this game ever, I don't think. This has just been sitting in the bottom lane fairly surprisingly. The Centaur is trying to farm up the safe lane, but he's really been the weakest link for Argentinian rejects. Dying twice, Lubia just playing way too aggressively, and honestly, he didn't need to.
Yeah, this isn't a lane that Centaur should lose. I mean, obviously the Centaur versus Brewmaster matchup is not the best for Centaur, but at the same time, he's able to fight on par with the Brewmaster, and that certainly hasn't been the case. Minor interference from Baga, fissure here and there, put the lane firmly in Billy's favor, and now Billy is scarily close to a level 6. He's going to get this, especially if he gets this clap onto awareness. Yeah, this is going to be pretty much level 6 from the Brewmaster. Oh, actually, never mind. He didn't get any experience at all from that Scarith Mage, but still another kill for him. And once the split does come out, then Argentinian rejects are going to be on the back foot in such a huge way. Lubia might even die to this random Centaur. Now he's going to live. Yeah,
it's actually farming Veg in a support Centaur. I wasn't actually paying much attention. I'm not sure if we talked about it. It's also a Venge that goes for Orb of Venom. Very peculiar. They're getting a lot of farm on this Venge, or at least a decent amount. Is it enough? I'm not sure. I would much rather have farm on the Centaur.
I mean, Centaur at this point doesn't really have an option. Like, he's died too many times. He's already pretty useless, so the Venge has been farming the bottom lane, has rotated up towards top, and gonna try to farm over there. In the meantime, it's the Visage to get most of the benefits, but he's actually not last hitting at all. He only has 3 last hits, so he's going to be trying to face up against Drow Ranger. It's still experience for Visage, and a quick level 6 is a very influential ultimate once you get those familiars. So all in all, Argentinian rejects, they have a decent enough lane situation going on, given the fact that their Centaur has been so heavily shut down. And they're not applying pressure to the Drow Ranger, and I don't really like that, but I don't know if they
Chorizo, what are you doing, man? He's going to get fissured, and he's dead. Like, Maybe not. Enchant Totem comes out, but now with the rotation for the Brewmaster, it's going to be a very easy kill on the Shadow Fiend. The Earthshaker was standing up on the high ground over here looking for the kills. We see the Dazzle die down towards bottom with the rotation of the Venge. Now 4DR also in a bit of a pickle, caught between the trees, going to eat a Tango through, but the Soul Assumption and a little bit more damage is all that they need. Will they be able to chase him down? I think so. Silence coming off of the Vengeful Spirit doesn't have very much movement speed, 5 less than the Droranger, and that's going to scare ADR's retreat. The Visage is still on the sideline, so cancel a salve coming out from ADR, but Vengeful Spirit already backed off, and Dro's going to walk back into the Magic Missile. What are you doing? He's going to die at the end of all of that. Now Ned, in a bit of a pickle, is going to eat the Grave Chill, and will also give himself the Shallow Grave, and will survive. That was so weird. I don't understand.
Could we just leave this game and pretend it never happened? Like, I would be so happy if we could just do this right now. Like, first of all, Argentina Rejects, with level 1 Roshan, they're at a huge advantage. Like, a huge advantage. And then they, like, go ahead and piss it away by giving so many kills to a Brewmaster lane that's not supposed to be winning this much. But then, like, Pain, they decide to suicide with their Drow Ranger. He was home free and clear. He got salved up. But then he, like, randomly ran into a Visage, knowing that the enemies were there, trying to continue the fight when he was at half HP. This game is just a mess. This is like...
Silence top Billy. He's going to die. Brewmaster's advantage is now going to be funneled into Lubia. I don't know what this game is. This looks like a pub, like, not even joking.
Yeah, do you know how people in Twitch chat are always like, is this a 2000 MMR pub? The answer is yes. Like, this is actually what it looks like right now.
And that's very sad. Right now, Shadow Fiend is farming up a Storm, and that's going to be very nice for Argentina Rejects. Although he's going to go for Power Treads into Aquila. Not a huge fan of this item choice coming up from the Shadow Fiend. I think he could have gotten away from away with the Midas, and maybe he just wants to go straight towards the BKB. It's not really going to matter much, as he's going to have whatever he wants after cleaning up a couple more stacks. This Shadow Fiend is going to be very scary. If he hadn't gone for that really aggressive dive on the puck, Chorizo would be in a wonderful situation now. But after going for the dive, it's still going to be okay. They're going to find a Drow Ranger down the bottom with the swap, and now with the Magic Missile, silences land in the bench, and they're going to be able to rush it down in a heartbeat. Now Akadanchi going to be focused down after being fissured as well as guaranteed crit, looking for the medallion, going to find it on the Brewmaster, but it doesn't matter. They are going to get enough damage onto the Venge. Now Skywrath Mage juking through trees. I don't think it's going to be enough. Drops an ultimate onto literally nothing, except for one of the Brewmaster minions that doesn't actually take any damage, and it's going to be a 1-for-2 trade. The Drow Ranger kind of expected to die. It's going to be a pretty large gold swing, going the way of Pain, mostly into the Brewmaster, with 630 gold going into his pocket. He's a lot closer to his blink now.
This Drow Ranger is going to be fairly irrelevant this game. Fortunately for her, the rest of the team is picking up the slack in a huge way, as Billy, a level 8 Brewmaster, 8 minutes 30 into the game, is going to be such a huge hero moving forward. And, well, maybe Pain, with the amount of gold that the rest of the heroes are getting, are going to be able to recover from the fact that their draft is pretty crappy. The puck is also pretty close to a Blink Dagger. It's actually surprisingly close to a Blink, only about 800 gold away from that. So once Blink Daggers come up on Pain, they're going to buy space for the Drow Ranger to not die. And that's going to be hopefully very influential for them, because Drow Ranger is not having a good game.
Definitely not. ADR looking potentially towards the Hand of Midas as his next item, although it's going to be fairly late. I'm still okay with this choice coming out from him. Lubia is currently dropping very low as he's farming double edges the creeps to get all the last hits. Drop down to 1 HP, but he'll be able to make it back safely towards base as nobody's inbound. But if there was just an, I don't know, random Illusion Orb, that would have been a very easy kill. AR is going to be able to get everybody back to safety. Drow Ranger is currently farming jungle, and that's about all that ADR can comfortably do, and even that is pretty sketchy. Earthshaker's getting very close to his level 6, and Baga has actually purchased a bottle for himself. I'm okay with this, but he hasn't been roaming aggressively enough, I think, to warrant the choice.
He's still pretty wealthy, so he has 1,000 gold in the bank. I do like bottles on these roaming supports. I feel like they should be picked up a little bit more, although I think a lot of it is just me liking having that regen. The Earthshaker not really doing too much, and the Skywrath Mage has actually been doing quite a bit. He's level frickin' 7 at this stage, and for a support, that's pretty impressive. The Visage also is level 7. I don't know where his birds are, but that's fine.
He hasn't summoned them.
That makes no sense. Why?
It really doesn't.
Aghanim's Rush for the birds?
I don't get it. This game is like all layers of wrong. Like, Fissure going to land on the M3 doesn't do anything. That's okay to still go for the Fissure, I assume. They're going to find the Skywrath Mage to the sidelines to get the silence off on the ability as well as the ultimate, but the Echo Slam going to scare a killing spree for Baga. Yeah, I don't know why the Visage is not summoning his birds. It just makes no sense.
Maybe he can't micro. Maybe he's not a Visage player and he's scared about microing.
Why skill the birds then? Like, why go for Aghanim's? Why not just go for the full Grave Chill Soul Assumption build?
surprise factor. If they're like, yo, let's kill this Visage, he doesn't have birds around, then all of a sudden, boom, they're summoned, then you get double stun, then you get soul assumption.
But if he summoned them already, like, he would have the resummon available. So
I don't know.
yeah,
We thought last game didn't make much sense, and it made a lot more sense than this one. Now Billy's
It
gonna
really
find
did.
M3 in the trees. Hey, there's there's a summon. He did it, but he's gonna die anyway. It literally did nothing. These birds aren't even attacking anything. They get the kill on the Visage so very easily for Billy, and they don't get punished. In the meantime, it's Centaur once again to be, man, just dying to neutrals. This guy's messing with me so hard. But Pain get a free kill over on the bottom lane, and they force out the familiars of the Visage.
okay, you know what it is? He can't control his hero and the birds at the same time. So he decided to die in order to get the familiars out. So now he can have the familiars.
Next level tactics, man. Next level.
Yeah, I I don't even get it. Centaur is still incredibly low. He's sitting up in top lane. Like, Lubia, he has the Tranquil Boots regen now. It's going to be okay, but if anybody as much as blows on that Centaur, like, just gives him a little poke, he'll fall down flat on his face. John to the Illusion Orb and Blink? No, not gonna happen. Oh, that would have been really fun to watch. Although Puck doesn't have vision back there, can't really comfortably go for it. Us as the omniscient casters would love to still see it. Chorizo going to be fissured over inside the river. He's going to eat the loser orb as well. There's a Dream Coil available, and Chorizo is going to be coiled down, looking for the TP out. That's probably going to succeed, as the Enchant Totem is way too far away from the Earthshaker. Bago was sitting on the backlines way too long and could have gotten in position a lot faster.
Yeah, the Fissure, though it was a pretty nice block, unfortunately blocked the Earthshaker off as well, so he could have had potentially an easy access route into that Shadow Fiend, but, you know, just getting the block is usually the #1 objective in your mind as Earthshaker. It's not, can I get in after the block? So he's ultimately going to let that Shadow Fiend escape. And Shadow Fiend has been pretty much untouched this entire game. Has one death, which is, you know, it's not the best, but he's still very much so on top of the net worth chart. And he's heading on straight to his BKB. This is going to help him quite a bit this game, as there's not that much physical coming up from Pain, or really there should be with a little bit of Drow Ranger damage, but she doesn't have that much, so the Shadow Fiend doesn't have to worry about anything at all. We once again see Lubia near death as he's once again dueling in the jungle. Lubia has actually, you know, despite the fact that he's had such a terrible start, the fact that he's jungling this heavily and this aggressively, he's actually at his Blink Dagger right now, and that's actually a lot faster than I really would expect. It's on bottom lane where there's going to be a little bit of initiation. Algonachen is going to swap himself in. That's pretty cool, but now Billy is going to jump in. Does he have a split? He does. He's going to very quickly bring down the Skywrath Mage, and now the Visage is going to die as well. He doesn't have Familiars to pop out of panic this time. Now the Storm aspect. Going to look to charge forward. Algonachen up into the air. He's going to fall into a Puck and a Brewmaster with a Rock. I don't think he could survive this one. Yeah, he's definitely screwed. He's going to go down, especially with that Fissure to secure the kill. That's a triple for QQQ. And that was just a couple of their heroes. AR, they don't have the Blink Centaur, nor do they even use Stampede, and Shadow Fiend wants no part of that. So Pain, they get a pretty nice little fight going on for themselves.
Yeah, they definitely do. In mid, they're going to jump onto the Shadow Fiend. However, the initiation coming out from the Centaur is going to blow up the Puck. Another Fissure comes out from the Earthshaker, but they silence a Billy. Does not have the split available. Echo Slam comes out mostly onto the Skywrath Mage. Not very many creeps around either. No, Baga is in a really compromising position. He's going to be forced back after eating 2 Arcane Bolts. Looking for the initiation from the Centaur. He's not going to be able to get the double edge off as he's stunned. Now the Shallow Grave's going to delay things, so looking for a little bit more damage. It is going to come out in the Earthshakers. One more auto attack does land. Now the Visage going to eat a heal bomb from the Dazzle, as well as the right clicks. 40 Rs dropped by the Birds, and it's going to be a 1 for 3 to start things off, as Ned is now in a whole lot of trouble. The Birds are out of damage sticks, and he's going to be able to get the Grave off because of it. He's going to get a double kill after heal bombing down the Skywrath Mage as well. After the fact, M3 gets the kill onto the 1 HP Dazzle. Tower is going to be destroyed by the Dire, and now the Puck wants in on some of this action, although does not have any other way to continue chasing. The Vengeful Spirit probably is going to survive on the backlines.
That fight, just another display of how useless the Drow Ranger is, as Argentina VJX, they actually use the Blink Dagger of the Centaur, and they get quite a bit done with that. Pain, they end up losing 4 heroes, and, you know, granted, they actually get a lot more than I actually would have thought there. Drow Ranger got swapped into a whole bunch of heroes, and then you lose the marksmanship bonus, and then you just get completely annihilated because you have no health items. So she has to make sure that that doesn't happen. The Dazzle's heal was surprisingly the most relevant factor in that fight, and usually it doesn't do that much damage, but fortunately for him, the Argentine VJX heroes were diving aggressively and pulling the aggro from the creep wave, so the creeps were always hugging the enemy heroes, and you get a little bit more damage from your heal that way. So, you know, Pain, they get a little bit from that, whereas normally they should have just been utterly destroyed, but it's not going to stop them. They're going to go down to the bottom lane. Brewmaster has a split available. He did not have that for the last fight, and that's a big reason why it didn't go well for them. I'd also like to point out that Baga is going for kind of a core shaker build with only 2 points in Fissure, 3 points in Enchant Totem. He's hitting pretty hard, but it's clearly not hard enough to get this tower hit. I mean, if you're not using your Enchant Totem to kill off towers, really it's like kind of underwhelming. And let's see if they disengage cleanly. Billy's going to take a little bit of damage. There should be a Stampede. No, they're not going to Stampede forward for that one. I think they probably could have Stampeded and collected some kills.
I'm okay with this build coming out from the Earthshaker. Although the extra stun time from the Fissure as well as the damage is nice, it's really there for the block. And so I think Earthshakers might decide to focus on Enchant Totem a little bit more, especially if it can one-shot off the Familiars. Currently, Awareness jumped upon, going to eat the clap, and now the split. They're going to look for enough damage, and they sure will have it, as the Scarlet Mage is going to be brought down very easily. The rest of the heroes probably need to get out. The Fissure's going to be dropped by the Earthshaker. It is blind, but it does miss on both the Centaur as well as the Shadow Fiend. So everybody's going to make it out alive after the fact, which is just that one pickoff on the Scarlet Mage. They'll put a little bit of damage on the tier 1 tower for it. It's not a waste of the Brewmaster ultimate by any means, but for Pain Gaming, they would have liked to have it be a little bit more. The Shadow Fiend is still incredibly farmed with the BKB, and although the rest of the heroes on the side of Argentinian rejects don't have all that much, they have enough, as the Blink Dagger and the Centaur is going to make it fairly easy for them to find fights, and it looks like they want to go into another Roshan. With the maxed out presence of the Dark Lord, as well as the minus armor from the Vengeful Spirits, fairly fast one, although Pain Gaming are in a decent position to contest against this, as they have a Blinking Puck. The Drow's nowhere to be found, but honestly, what would she do? They drop the Weave, and now look for Fissure, lands on all three. The Dream Coil is going to come out, as the Echo Slam is going to be dropped onto the Vengeful Spirit. The Dream Coil holds Libya in place, as now they're looking for Baga. The Arcane Bolt's going to land after the Scarlet Mage ultimate is going to do damage, but they don't hold him in place inside of it. Grave Chill going the way of Ned. And now the jump in from Billy. Doesn't have a split available for another 50 seconds, so it's not going to have an instant silence onto the puck. It's going to stop him from throwing out his barrage of spells, but it won't save the life of the Visage. Now looking for awareness. He's probably going to die the second time in this fight. Phase shift comes out from the puck, and they're having a bit of difficulty chasing down this fairly fast hero, but the blink on the puck as well as the blink of the Brewmaster is going to secure a fairly easy kill. 17-9. Pain are finding a lot of pickoffs in these team fights. Lucky enough for Argentinian rejects, their Shadow Fiend hasn't been touched, but then again, he hasn't been doing anything in the fights either. 1-1-1 on Chorizo.
Oh no.
Swapping mid.
Yeah. Donchin trying to TP straight into the enemy team. There's this Shallow Grave on Billy, though it's not even going to be necessary. Here comes the Shadow Fiend. Gonna land a couple raises onto Ned, dropping pretty low. Billy just waiting for enough cooldown for his ultimate. That'll help him win this fight. Ned is going to be the casualty of war, maybe even denied. No, the raise is just going to clip Dazzle at the tail end, and that should be everyone else escaping. I like what Argentinian rejects tried to do there. They saw the Brewmaster get a split kill on the Scarlet Mage previously, the kill that happened, just right over here. They saw that and they were like, hey, they don't have a split. We should try to get an objective. We're going to go for Roshan. And on paper, that's really good, but the rest of the value of Pain's skills was so extremely high that they were able to contest Roshan even without the split. Like, Fissure caught everyone. The Coil caught 2. They annihilated their heroes of Argentine rejects before they could actually get anything done. The BKB on Shadow Fiend, though it kept him alive for quite a long time, it wasn't really used offensively. So it was pretty much just a purely defensive use of the BKB there. So they actually don't take the best of fights, even though they found the perfect time to. And now the Familiars, well, they're going to drop, and M3, he does not have a resummon. I don't know why he summoned them previously, but Baga's even one in trouble. He's not going to hit with the Mystic Flare, but that's fine, because they get the kill anyway. And Earthshaker down. He's pretty close to his Blink Dagger. Of course, dying is not exactly going to help his cause, but it's a kill for Argentine Rejects one way or another, and Billy, he's going to look for revenge, although I don't think there is any revenge to be found. There's a free tier 1 tower, which was very close to deny range. Lubia's going to stun Billy, but he's not going to actually do anything. Just walk away, and tower secured by Billy. That could have been denied previously by Argentinian rejects, but it stayed alive. In the meantime, top lane, ADR, he's been pretty much playing PvE since his last death, and he's been on top lane chilling. He now has a Blink Dagger and Yasha. This Drown Ranger, even though she's not actually doing much with her team, she's providing them a lot of damage, or at least the ranged heroes.
Yeah, and the Dazzle and the Puck are going to be benefiting from that, and Drow Ranger at this point is going to be more than happy to just be playing PvE. If she gets caught out inside a team fight, she's going to die if she gets disabled. The Blink Dagger is going to help mitigate that, as is the movement speed from the Yasha, but more than anything, this build is for split pushing, and ADR is doing a pretty good job of it.
Chorizo is going to get caught out. He does have a BKB, so he's going to pop that one, but he can't actually go where he wants to. He's going to run straight into Billy, who has a split. He's going to charge up the Requiem, do a little bit of damage to the Brewmaster, but Brewmaster's not actually in any danger of dying. I don't know why Chorizo is here all alone looking for kills. seems kind of dumb to me, but hell, who cares? And now QQQ, he's going to look jump forward. He's going to dodge Lubia's Hoof Stomp. Very well played by the puck, but now he's going to get silenced, so he can't actually get anything else done. But he pulled out a couple spells of Argentinian Rejects, didn't put himself in any danger, so really no harm, no foul there. Ultimately, it's just Shadow Fiend dying, who is in the wrong place for some reason. I can't really justify him being there at all.
Right now, Stampede used to try to catch out this Row Ranger, but she'll be able to disjoint the concussive shot and then TP back to base. ADR is going to make it back home safely. And Stampede down for very little committed from Pain, with the exception of the TP from ADR, and he's just going to use that to get back straight up towards top and continue pushing out that lane. ADR is utilizing this Row Ranger well, although I would have liked to see the lineup better reflect the Row Ranger pick. They're still making it work reasonably well. We are going to have a jump in onto the Visage. He's going to summon his familiars and now a turn for a little bit of damage on Billy. The Fisher's going to land, however. Now the Dream Coil in the backlines catches out too. They're going to drop a Mystic Flare onto QQQ, and he is going to be dropped. Now the Echo Slam going to catch out a lot of units as well as several heroes, and they're going to be able to instantly kill off the Scarth Mage. Blink away from the Centaur is going to keep himself safe as the rest of the fight's going to break out. Once the Shadow Fiend drops to the ground, they're going to Poison Touch Fisher him up, and now with the damage of the Brewlings, it's not going to be enough. The defensive swap is going to keep Chorizo safe, however, as well as Algodanchin. They're all going to survive. Now a double hoof stomp coming out from the Centaur. They're going to focus down Baga, looking for the double edge. Not going to find the double edge. TP out from Billy while the Shallow Grave is still in effect. They don't have any other way to cancel it, and he'll be able to make it back home safely. The rest of the heroes are currently juking away from the Shadow Fiend. Blink for the Centaur. He's going to get poison touched up, and Enchant Totem prepped by the Earthshaker, going to drop for Fissure, only clipping on to Algodanchin. Now going to find Lubia, going to Enchant Totem yet again. Shallow Grave is going to keep him alive. He's going to go for the hit. If he went for the hit first, he probably would have been able to get that kill, but he still makes it home safely. Now looking for the escape of Ned, he'll be able to make it out as well. Somehow, Pain escape, only losing one of their heroes.
That was a beautiful set of disengages from Pain. Like, I thought when they first ran away with the Earthshaker and the Dazzle, then they were home free, but they actually decided to turn and fight. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to end horribly for them. But they stay alive for long enough, they find their teleportations out in between the stuns of Argentinian Rejects, and they only lose the puck. And he got hit very early on, so losing him, it was like from even a different team fight. I can't believe that everyone from Pain got out of that situation. I can't believe they're actually winning just 4v5. The Drow Ranger has been pushing up the top lane, did get the tier 3 tower denied from her, which kind of sucks, but hey, she's not actually committing that much for it. She's now going to look for Algodanchin over towards mid. Has a Force Staff. Oh no, Drow Ranger's not going to blink forward for this one. In fact, she doesn't want to go against any enemy heroes, so I can kind of respect that. Billy is going to be one in trouble, although Lubia, struggling to land these stomps, is going to miss that one. These two Pain heroes are in quite an awkward situation, as they do have a Shadow Fiend to the left of them, although it seems like they don't know about it. It's going to be over mid, where Ned is going to jump at Algodanchin, but here comes QQ to support. Double Coil is going to deny the Stampede's escape. Algodanchin's going to run awkwardly in circles. In the meantime, it's going to be Lubia, who's going to be split upon. He does not have a Stampede anymore. He's going to throw him into the air. Should be dispelled very quickly. Baga has an Enchant Totem. There's a dispel, but he's instantly going to land that stomp, and now Baga can't really get much done, but QQ is there with the orb. They're going to quickly bring down Lubia, and QQ is going to dodge most of the Requiem from the Shadow Fiend. However, he misses his silence due to that Cyclone. Here's a Fissure, though, and it's not going to connect on anything because of this BKB, but Chorizo's taking so much physical damage. He's going to go down, and Baga's going to survive once again due to the Shallow Grave from the Dazzle. That's a whole bunch of kills going for Pain, and I don't think they lose anyone. In fact, they're going to get a tier 2 tower on top of all these kills as well. This is going so well for Pain, and still they're fighting 4v5.
Yeah, and it's just working out for them. They're able to skirt around the sides of the fights with these blink daggers that they have on the puck, Brewmaster as well as the Earthshaker. And Dazzle's positioning is good enough to get those Shallow Graves off at key moments. ADR takes a tier 2 tower down in bottom, and after a team fight win, he is going to join the rest of his fight to take the tier 2 in mid. Despite Argentinian Rejects apparently having the better lineup, it's just not working out. They start out in a wonderful fashion taking the Roshan, and they're just not able to transition anything after having, quite honestly, an abysmal laning stage, where the Centaur starts out dying twice. They're going to use Stampede, looking for the Earthshaker top. Baga is very aggressively positioned with the blink on the Centaur. Should be a fairly easy hoof stomp as well as double edge kill. And they're going to end Earthshaker's life up in top. It's a nice pickup for Argentinian Rejects, and they're still not out of this game, but they're a lot more out of it than I thought they would be at this point. The Shadow Fiend's still at a decent spot in net worth, but the Drow Ranger is actually succeeding to accomplish her job, and that's to take towers and continuously split push. Now with an Aegis, she'll be able to do that much easier across the map. Now that she has a second life to work with, and We'll see. ADR is going to be pinged out down in bottom by the Scarith Mage, but this is not the easiest kill. No BKB yet on the Droranger, but once ADR has that, I think that Pain will be comfortable in pushing high ground. Maybe not with this Aegis, but still, I don't think there's very much pressure on them either. The Droranger is going to be scaling a lot heavier in the damage department than the Shadow Fiend, as far as her next items are concerned. Now they'll find a Scarith Mage obliterated by ADR.
There's nothing you can do there as Scarith Mage except for turn tail and hopefully try to survive that onslaught. JDL going to find pickoffs where she can, and she's been kind of flying under the radar, and off of her poor start, that's exactly what you want to have happen. Now I think it might be time for ADR to bust out and say, hey, I'm actually in this game. The enemy side does have, in fact, 5 heroes. I'm here, and he's going to collect a couple of kills here and there, but Argentine Rejects, I'm trying to think of like what's actually going wrong for them. The farm on the Vengeful Spirit is not actually getting kills with the Scarith Mage, and really that's what you want your combo to be doing. Magic Missile into a Mystic Flare is 9 times out of 10 going to be killing off heroes, but Awareness is just a little bit slow on the silences on Puck mainly, and that's costing them quite a few opportunities in getting kills. The Visage Familiars have been not relevant at all in this game. Even when there are summoned, they don't do anything, and now he has an Aghanim Scepter, so they could be upgraded and still not do anything, so I don't know, Argentinian Rejects, they're just missing all these small opportunities. Like, they're missing hoof stomps on pucks and putting themselves in awkward situations like this, where Ned is potentially in a lot of trouble. He's going to get stampeded upon. The Grave is there. He's going to land the minus armor on everyone. Here comes rotation support from the Brewmaster. Ned is going to take a lot of damage, and he will go down, although Clap is going to slow him down. And now he's going to force staff out. Raze is going to miss, and Dazzle's home free. Lubia is going to drop. Chorizo will be able to TP away. Billy did not use Split for that. I think if he had mana, he probably would have, but it ends up benefiting him as they don't even lose the Dazzle. This is maxed out Shallow Grave at its finest. JDL, in the meantime, going to find the Scarith Mage yet again. Pain, they're just picking Argentina Rejects apart. This is gruesome.
It really is. The Droranger has been able to find that Scarith Mage a multitude of times. The Familiars are going to try for D-Ward, but it's going to lose one of them at the very least, and I don't see the other one on the map. I think this is the only Familiar that this is going to have for the next 100 seconds, and might not even have that, and is going to lose it. These Visage Familiars went from having little impact to having no impact after dying, and they're going to be on the sidelines.
It's like negative impact, like you're feeding gold. They're not
Yeah,
doing
it
anything,
is.
and you're giving them gold.
Yeah, I mean, they get the D-Word, which is okay, but it's definitely not worth it.
There's a gem on the Shaker, so suddenly no one has any vision in this area. Like, Visage, I don't know, maybe ping issues? Possibly? That could be it. But
I'll actually check it. Like, let's see. Who's the player? It's M3.
yeah.
His ping looks acceptable. We're going to see a Stampede up on top. They find themselves in Ned, and I don't think Ned's getting out of this one. He's not. Blown up by the double edge as well as the Raze. Not even sure if the Raze ended up landing, as the creeps are the ones to get the last hit. Yeah, it's, I don't know, a nice pick in theory, and I don't know, they're going to find a Baga as well. It's going to be Pain leaking several heroes. Those Stomp Lance for the Centaur, and that's a gem on the deck. That's actually fairly major for Argentinian Rejects. They're going to be able to seize a little bit of map control back from their side. The Sulcuros is picked up by the Brewmaster, and it is just the supports. Like, Pain Gaming aren't going to be super sad about how that went, but they're not going to be able to do anything off of it. They lose a tier 3 tower up on top with very little, as Chorizo is going to be forced to DKB, try to TP out, no crits, or at least not enough from Billy, and he'll be able to make it out alive. Yeah, it's...
That was kind of unfortunate for the Brewmaster, but it's going to be 40R. ADR, he's going to keep collecting, and he finds the gem back. I don't think he realizes that the Scarith has a gem. There it is. So gem maybe secured, although he doesn't have any really nice item slots to drop right now. So maybe he's going to try to bait someone from Argentine Rejects to pick up this gem. He ends up dropping the Ogre Club. This is a very hefty gem. No, he's going to try to get both, but he's going to get jumped upon, and now he's going to get punished. He's going to drop the Aegis. QQ does secure the gem. I don't know what happened to the Ogre Club. Actually, the Ogre grabbed it. So the Centaur grabbed it, rather. Now ADR is in quite a bit of trouble. He does a Mantis style. Will split out, but he has a very angry Centaur right on his tail. Here comes Billy. ADR is going to survive at 70 HP. Not enough to actually kill him off. In the meantime, the split is going to kill off both the Visage and then the Vengeful Spirit following shortly after. QQ in a little bit of danger, but he will get a little bit of safety due to that storm aspect. Now Centaur up into the air is going to land into a rock, and he's going to go down. The Familiars are going to try to do a little bit of damage, but really, can they do anything at all? They're going to chase forward to the north for someone. The Courier is going to be the one to get sniped. Finally, the Familiar is doing something for the team, but still, Argentine Rejects, they can't even kill the Drow Ranger. They lose 3 heroes, and they really heavily botch up a team fight, and now with only 2 heroes alive, I don't know if they could defend these ranged Raxes. Visage will be up again. It's going to be close.
Yeah. I think this is at least one of these barracks gone in the favor of Pain. They have the Draw Ranger, although she did lose 1,000 gold in that last fight because she lost her Overclub to the Centaur. She has enough money to buy the full BKB in base, so it's not the end of the world. Now they find Awareness, and Awareness is dead. Billy is beyond godlike and has been playing very well, finding a lot of pickups, good initiations. Baga's going to blink up here, and that's going to be a full set of racks going the way of Pain Gaming, and it doesn't look like they're going to fully stop. They're instead going to commit to middle as well, feeling comfortable enough in order to take this fight. ADR is going to clean up a couple of these structures. They ping out the familiars, but the tier 3 tower at the very least is going to fall, and now the pressure is on Argentinian Rejects to find the initiation as Dazzle disconnects.
Rankers, Centaur is going to be teleporting squarely onto Billy and Ned. There is no split for the Brewmaster, so Pain Gaming, they kind of want to avoid a fight right now, but Brewmaster has friggin' Assault Cuirass Vlads. He doesn't need a split to turn around and kick ass, so if Centaur does teleport in, he's probably actually not going to get anything done with this because both Billy and Ned have blinks out. So Centaur's not going to get anything, and I expect Ned to kind of blink to the upper left and Billy to blink towards the south so that the Centaur can't get anything. But even then, the Earthshaker has access into this area, so this I don't see this going very well for Argentinian Rejects. Even though Shadow Fiend is absolutely stacked, he's just constantly in situations where he has to use the BKB purely defensively, and he can't really make use of his items. Like Yasha, Monkey King Bar, these are all great items to have in your Shadow Fiend, and they would be doing work if he would be able to attack, but that's actually just not the case. It's very rarely the case in this game where Shadow Fiend has been able to sit comfortably and attack, and I think that's just because Lubia has been, though very disruptive on the Centaur, hasn't really been getting the initiations that Argentinian Rejects really need, and no one else on their team can actually provide a front line, so with only the Centaur, it's just not enough because Billy's going to be able to bypass all of that. Everyone on Pain are able to bypass all of that because do they actually all have Blink Daggers? They do.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-blink team coming up from Pain, and that amount of positioning is very hard to go up against, especially when you're a Centaur. I don't think it's Lubia's fault that he's not finding the jumps. He just can't find the jumps, and there's now a BKB flying out to the Draw Ranger, and a BKB is not the works for the Brewmaster, although if he had it, I'm not even sure if he needs it. He'll still be able to get the split off fairly reliably. The Skywrath Mage silences, they come out at decent timings when the Skywrath Mage is alive, but usually the fights start off with the Skywrath Mage dying. He is 2 and 12 in this game.
Yeah, it's mostly just the Drow Ranger, though she has been playing PvE for a good portion of this game. The times when she decides to test out the PvP servers, she is going for the Skywrath Mage, and she's getting those kills 9 times out of 10. And since the poor early start, like since that has happened, she hasn't died a single time. She's gotten 3 kills and 4 assists, I believe. She was at 1.040. So Drow Ranger just recovering in this game, and again, even if she is not attacking, even if she's just forced to run away because she gets blinked upon by a Centaur or something like that, she's still giving all the range heroes of her team an outrageous 65 base damage. So Puck is hitting like a truck, even the Dazzle's hitting like a truck if he's actually hitting, which I'm not too sure because I'm not actually paying attention to the right click situation of Dazzle, but hell, if they are actually right clicking, then they're doing quite a bit of damage. And again, Argentinian Rejects, they're very soft. They have Visage who could sometimes stand it with Gravekeeper's Cloak. Skywrath Mage is not going to have a chance. Vengeful Spirit is decently tanky, but honestly don't feel the impacts of her in this game at all. So, I don't know, just Pain Gaming, they're playing their heroes pretty well, and I think it's mostly due in part because of this Brewmaster. Billy has been the driving force behind Pain Gaming.
Yeah, he really has. He was the one to lead the charge when they were fighting 4v5, and they made so much room for this Troll Ranger. And yeah, it was just a really nice performance coming out from Pain up until this point. Usually when you start up against a level 1 Roshan, it's very demoralizing, but somehow they make their lanes work. They get 2 kills on the Centaur very early on that the Brewmaster was involved in. The lanes just end up working out for Pain. The Draw Ranger with a slow start was able to make a comeback, and although her score isn't very flashy with 3, 4, and 4, she's been able to get a lot of map control for Pain. They've abused it nicely.
I actually just completely forgot that this game started off with level 1 Roshan because Argentinian Rejects did not capitalize on that advantage at all. In fact, they very quickly just lost it. Like, they just died a couple of times, and all of a sudden the enemies are all level 2, and though your extra gold is very nice, it's not really going to be doing enough. So we're just going to be waiting for Ned to reconnect into this game. Let's take a quick look and see if there's any items that are noteworthy at all. Really, QQQ has his Yule Scepter. This Puck is such a nuisance to kill for Argentinian Rejects, outside of just silencing him from the Skywrath Mage, but even then, now that he has Yule Scepter, he'll be safe there. Blink Daggers galore, as I said, from Pain. Nothing really on the Argentinian Rejects side. These familiars, The Aghanim Scepter is pretty much just 4,000 wasted gold from M3, and Chorizo's wielding a lot of wasted gold as well, just simply because he can't right-click. So, yeah, I don't know. These items, they're none too spectacular for either side since we last saw, but it just seems like Argentinian Rejects have a lot of dead items in their inventories.
Yeah, on a completely unrelated note, I like that Pain have put all of their Blink Daggers in a symmetrical fashion as far as the heroes and where they're correlated inside the entire game. I don't know, it's pleasing to the eye.
All planned. That's like flavor points for Pain Gaming right now.
It really is.
Alright, so I'm trying to reconnect, but seems to not be working. I think we'll have potentially a 30-minute load if things really get to that situation, as I believe that's when the game auto-saves, let's say. So if the worst situation is just 50 seconds, and I think Raxes were already down by then.
And even if they weren't, it's fairly easy just to say, AR, have the Scarlet Mage die, and give them the Raxes. We've actually done that before. That was quite something.
Okay, so they're just gonna go. Pain Gaming, they are not scared of this 4v5. Someone has to blink out with this Dazzle, though, because if not, the Centaur is just gonna kill him
He's
off.
TPing out. So...
No, Ned is not TPing out. Centaur's TPing in.
Oh! Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Everyone's fine now. ADR is caught between a rock and a hard place. The BKB Centaur is not going to use any spells. Why are you not using any spells? He missed the stun completely, but the Stampede is there. Billy does not have a split, so he can't actually turn around and fight. Ned taking quite a bit of damage, but he does have Shallow Grave in order to keep himself safe. Use it. There it is. He's going to block that last hit, and he's going to survive. Looks like everyone else from Pain is going to now just turn around and clean up. There's a Centaur War Runner down. Billy has a split in 1 second. He will be able to blink forward, but he gets Silence Mystic Flare. No split now. Now Baga, though, is going to come in with his ultimate. Going to instantly kill off that Scarlet Mage and the Visage soon to follow. Chorizo's going to try to man fight versus 40R, but he can't make that happen. Magic Missile not going to kill up the Gyro Ranger. Ned is not in this game, but it doesn't matter because the Dazzle's performing, and Algodonchin, the last one to stay alive. ADR, he's not going to die at all. Man, MVP Dazzle, even though he's not even in the game.
Yeah, like, Pain's micro of that Dazzle was really good, like, to be fair. Like, those Graves came out at the perfect timings both times. They got off the ultimate, and they kept him safe throughout the entire team fight. Like, that's impressive. That is. This is going to be a second lane, if not even more going the way of Pain. They earn up their Draw Ranger, and I think they might be comfortable enough in going for more, as there's no buybacks available by Argentinian Rejects, and if they had them, they would have used them. Awareness is going to call out GG, and Pain Gaming, in a quite commanding fashion, are going to take a 2-0. Even though the first game was very slow coming out from them, they still were able to find more farm out of the map, and their teamfight execution was on a great level. It was Orange microing the Dazzle. Who was Orange? It was Earthshaker. So props to the Earthshaker. He got a 3-man Echo Slam and saved everybody. I think he's my MVP, if for nothing else, for that last fight. And he played well throughout the rest of the game, even though there's a 12-2 and 12 Brewmaster. Well played to Baga.
What a freaking baller. I wanted to ask that, but I was like, I probably shouldn't. But thank you, Invaders, for asking the question that I really wanted to ask. Baga performing pretty well in the Earthshaker, and then at the very tail end of the game for the last 2 minutes, performing pretty well in the Dazzle as well. So Pain, it was the jankiest of games. Like, that was one of the weirdest games I've ever seen in my life. But Pain Gaming, even with this Drow Ranger that had such a crappy start, they made it happen. I think toss-up between Billy, Baga as MVPs, but really everyone from Pain were firing on all cylinders, at least the 4 that actually were able to get stuff done in the early stages. But guys, that's going to be it for today. JDL Season 3 is, for right now, going to come to a close for us. Pain Gaming are going to keep their spot in Division 1, and I think they are the type of team that deserves to be there, so all is fitting in the world. This is going to be it for us here on HeflaTV 2. If you enjoyed the cast, please be sure to hit that follow button. If you want to follow us a little bit more in depth, HeflaTV is where we are on at Twitter as well as Facebook, so head on over there and give us a follow, a like, and whatnot. The VODs will be up on youtube.com/HeflaMoke soon enough. As you can see, all the information, that's all in the corners of the screen. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Grandis. Man, do you have anything else to say before we shut this out?
Not really. I think Pain are rightfully going to win this best of 3. I think they were the favorites, and Argentinian Rejects aren't able to bump them down. I think that Argentinian Rejects were in Division 2, and they put up a good fight. But still, it's fairly apparent where the difference is between these two teams, just in skill level, and maybe in next season, Argentinian Rejects are going to be able to bump up the pressure, maybe find a more stable lineup.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us. I hope you enjoyed the cast. We'll be right back tomorrow, I think, for more games. We should be done for today. And that should be it. Thanks for watching, guys. GG.